Welcome fellow action figure collectors to another episode of Beyond the Cardback. I'm Trooper TK314 and today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Caliban wave. That's right guys, today we're taking a look at the entire Marvel Legends Caliban wave. If this is your first time to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. Without any further wait, let's go ahead and jump into it. First up on the list is the raging Cajun Gambit. There's a short bio on the back that says Remy LeBeau is an ex-thief from New Orleans with the mutant ability to convert energy and cause objects to explode. And here's Gambit out of the package and he looks great. I'm not really going to go into much detail about him because he's basically got the same articulation as the new retro Gambit we just received a couple months ago. If you haven't watched that review, go ahead and look at it, click on it above. But the only difference between the retro and this one is literally the paint schemes and the hairstyles. Also, the accessories are the exact same, except on the new retro Gambit, the cards are actually painted. And as you can see on the old Gambit, there's no painted cards, it's just a translucent pink. Next up is number 2 in the line, it's Beast. On the back there's a short bio that reads, one of the original X-Men, Hank McCoy is a genius whose mutant ability gives him a furry blue beast-like appearance. And here he is guys, out of the package, and I have to say he is a great looking figure. He's very heavy, he's a very chunky piece of plastic, and just messing around with him he has a whole bunch of articulation. Look at that head sculpt. He does come with 2 alternate hands, one for his left and one for his right. Here's a closer look at Beast's head sculpt, and you can see it looks great. They did use that blue wash like they did on Guardian to create that kind of comic book look. The only thing I wish that he did come with an alternate head sculpt where he wasn't just mad. Maybe like the retro one came where we had like a normal Hank McCoy smiling face. That would have been really cool. But he is able to look up, he looks down, and the head rotates 360. Moving down to his shoulders, they are on a butterfly hinge and you get some great movement in those shoulders. They do rotate 360. They come out to about right here. You do have your bicep swivel. Of course, you have double hinge at the elbow. Great articulation there. The hands do hinge up or down or side to side, whichever way you're looking at them. Speaking of hands, he does come with alternate hands. One, I think, is flat on the bottom, so you can balance him and put him in some cool poses. It obviously hinges up and down. And then for the right hand, we have a normal fist hand, and it also hinges. Looking at his torso, he does have a rotation, but it's not at the waist, it's at the torso right under his chest, so you can rotate him 360. And he does also have a ab crunch. So you can get the ab crunch with a little bit of a torso. That's some great articulation. His belt is a floating belt, so it gets out of your way when you're trying to do certain things. His legs are the cool part. You can actually grab both legs and pull down and you'll hear a snap. I think you heard that snap. And when you do, you get a greater range of motion so that he can do some more acrobatic moves, which is what Beast is known for. He does have a thigh swivel, and mine is just a little tight. Of course, we move down to his knees. Double knees, great. Looking down to his ankles, they hinge back, they hinge forward. There's a forward-facing pin for rocker. And here's something we don't get often in Marvel Legends, hinged toes. And they go up and they go down. Next up, at number 3 in the line, is Weapon X. On the back, there's a short bio that reads, the Weapon X program experiments on humans and mutants alike, including Wolverine, who undergoes a brutal process that bonds adamantium to his skeleton. Here he is out of the box, and he looks great. Both head sculpts are fantastic. That's the only accessory that he does come with is an alternate head. But I remember this figure from the early 90s, and this was one of the reasons I picked up this figure, this line of figures, was so I could have a Weapon X in my collection. Here's a closer look at Weapon X and that helmet where I think they actually can control Logan. But it's really cool looking. It looks just like the little 90s figure I remember. But looking at it, you're not going to get much movement looking back because of the hair. But he does look down, and he is able to look side to side just a little bit. But that hair actually gets in the way. Looking at his shoulders, they are also on a butterfly hinge, and they hinge forward, hinge back, and then his arms come up this far, but you are hindered a little bit because of these straps right here. So you don't want to go too far because I'm afraid that they might break off or rip, especially on his right hand. You can go up, the belt floats, so you can go up just a little bit and it gives you some flexibility. But if you want to do anything else, you kind of have to go this way with it. And then the bracelets are loose so that you can put it in some different articulated poses to bend the elbows and stuff. But looking at the elbows, they do bend a little bit more than 90 because of the double hinge. And of course, looking at his wrists, they hinge up and hinge down. And my claws, like most Wolverines, come out a little warped. So I'm gonna put some heat on that. But the cool thing is the bracelets are loose. They do float so that you can do some articulation and these don't really get in the way that much. But with that being said, let's go ahead and look at his torso. He does have a ab crunch, so he's able to crunch very well, and he actually can crunch back very well too, so you can do some of those lunging poses. And then moving down, he does rotate 360. The belt's nice, it does float. Of course, you can pull it down and it stays in place, but it also floats to get out of the way for some leg articulation. And then looking down at his thighs, they do rotate 360. He does have double hinged knees, goes up to about right there. And of course, I do like the detail of the hairy legs and his hairy forearms and biceps. Those look cool because we all know Logan is very hairy. And then looking down at his feet, they hinge down, they hinge up, and they have a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, he does come with an alternate head sculpt. The only thing I wish is that he looked a little bit madder in that one because he looks like he's just screaming at nothing, like he can't believe he's headless. Ah, ah, ah. I don't know why. He just looks like he's singing or something. But he does have a blue wash to try to bring out that comic book look again, but it does not go all the way through the hair. Next up is number 4 in the line, which is Forge. And on the back there's a short bio that reads, living up to his name, Forge is an expert inventor who supplies the X-Men and other groups with advanced technology. Here's a closer look at Forge and that head sculpt, and you can see I've got quite a few paint defects there on his lips and chin, and I don't know, he's not my favorite action figure so far in this line. I've got some paint defect there on the headband as well, but it's okay. He is able to look up and he looks down very well, and of course you can rotate 360 even with that ponytail and the bandana trails back here. But looking down to his shoulders, you can see I've got some like plastic defect right there. I'm not very happy with this figure, but it's okay. The arms rotate 360. They go up this far. We do have a bicep swivel. There's some more paint defect. Looking at his elbows, they do hinge that far. They are double jointed. His hands do hinge up and hinge down. You can actually pull his hands off and take off the rest of the glove if you would like to. But looking down at his torso, he does have a ab crunch like most of the characters in this line, but he even crunches back almost to a degree that's too much. You just can see right up into the action figure. He does rotate 360. As you can see, my torso is very flimsy. Most of the joints on Forge are kind of flimsy. His belt is a floating belt, so you can use it to cover up some of the crease line right there for the rotation. But you can see on the abs right there, the ab crunch, I've got some more paint defect. Looking down at his legs, they go out this far. Of course, we do have a thigh swivel on the left leg, and then on the right leg, you can also swivel all the way around. You just have that holster in the way, which kind of covers up the joint right there. And the holster's nice. There's no real weathering on it. He does come with a blaster pistol or just a regular pistol, and you can put it in the holster. It's just a little bit tight, so you have to push it real hard, but it will go in, so it holds well. I like when action figures can hold all the accessories they come with. But moving down to his knees, they are double hinged as well. And then looking at his boots, they have a hinge as well. And you can see there goes the tassels, and they're hard to put in the same spot, but once you do, they kind of stay. Moving down to his ankles, they do hinge up, hinge down, and forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Forge comes with a blaster rifle or just a regular rifle. No weathering, no detail, nothing special about it. And he also comes with that pistol I just showed you, and there's nothing special about that one either. No weathering or anything, just kind of some sparkly paint. Next up is Blink. She's number 5 in the line. On the back there's a short bio that reads, Clarice Ferguson uses her mutant ability of teleportation to disappear and reappear in the blink of an eye. Here's Blink out of the package, and don't blink or she's gone, because this is one of the most boring figures I think in the set. A lot of paint flaws, but she looks okay in the face. She comes with 2 accessories. She has those pink spiky things and then a bubblegum circle. Here's a closer look at Blink's face sculpt, and as you can tell, it's a pretty good face sculpt. The paint details are good. I like the eyes, they are pretty. She is able to look up just a little bit even though she has that hair sculpt. She is able to look down though pretty well. And then of course you can rotate 360. If you take the head off, you can take that necklace off if you so choose. But moving down to her arms, they do rotate 360. They come out to about right there. And as with the female characters, we're used to the single hinged elbow. And then looking at her hand, it does hinge up and down or side to side if you're holding it this way. She doesn't have a torso split right there to rotate, but it is underneath her chest. And you can rotate 360, so she's on a ball hinge. You get pretty good movement right there. Looking down at her legs, she's able to kick out this far. She kicks forward pretty good, and then she has a thigh swivel. And I hate that they're putting serial numbers there where you can see it, because I know that the people who like to take pictures, those kind of get in the way and you have to kind of edit those out. But she does have a double hinged knee, kicks up that far. This right here actually floats a little bit, but it's just floating. There's no articulation in the ankle except for the usual kick down, kick forward, and then a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, she does come with 2 of these kind of dagger things. They are kind of rubbery and a little bit see-through. I'm sure if you put some light behind them, they would, illuminate just a little bit. But she also comes with this, I think it's supposed to be a transport tube or something, like she can come out of it. She creates portals, but it's cool looking, but it's just a big thing of pink plastic. It looks like someone just took some bubble gum and hardened it up. Next up at number 5 in the line, and one of my favorites, is Jubilee. On the back there's a short bio that reads, the mutant Jubilee generates pyrotechnic energy blasts that she calls fireworks, capable of blinding enemies or causing serious damage. Here's Jubilee out of the box, and she looks great. She comes with 2 alternate heads. The one she's got on right now where she's not chewing bubblegum, and then another one where she is chewing bubblegum, not wearing glasses. I think she looks great. I love the color aesthetic. She is totally 90s. Here's a closer look at Jubilee's head sculpt, and she is actually a very pretty figure. I like this figure. The glasses are glued on, so you're not able to take those off unless you just want to. But speaking of that, she is able to look up pretty good. She has a ball hinge. It does go back this far. And then of course she can bury the chin, and the head rotates 360. Looking down at her shoulders, they come out this far on both sides. They rotate 360, and then because she's wearing a coat, she doesn't get as much range as some of the other female characters do. And then what's also different about her is her hand hinges up and down kind of like this. It does rotate 360, but I kind of wish that it was just like this hand, like normal, where it would hinge up and down or side to side that way, not like a blaster hand, like up and down. I don't understand that, but it's okay. You can still get her into some dynamic poses. And then she also, just like the females, does not have a torso swivel, but instead hers is right under the chest, and it does rotate 360. And as you can see, that jacket is really cool looking too. I like the bright yellow. Her legs do go out this far, and then she does kick out about like that. She does have a thigh swivel, but it's nicely hidden right there at the jeans. So it does rotate 360. And then looking at her knees, she does have, mine are really stiff. She does have double hinge knees, so they kick up that far. And then looking down at her feet, the boots do rotate. Unlike most of the other figures, we didn't see that in the female figures, but her boots do have a 360 rotation. And then she is able to hinge down, hinge up, and then a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, she does come with an alternate head sculpt where she's blowing some bubble gum, and she also comes with, and I don't know why, 2 sets of these glasses, and you can actually put a set of glasses on her. There's no slots or anything, but you know, you just line it up, kind of bring it down just a little bit because the hair sculpt gets in the way, but they fit her alternate head sculpt very nicely. Last but not least, and number 7 in the line, is Skullbuster. On the back there's a short bio that reads, an enemy of the X-Men, the cyborg Skullbuster is a member of the villainous gang called the Reavers. Here's Skullbuster out of the package, and I don't know anything about this character, absolutely nothing, but I do know that it is a cool sculpt. I know they reused the Deathlock body for this one, and I know that if you buy another one, you can swap the heads, so you kind of have like 2 characters. The 2 accessories he comes with is a pistol and an alternate head sculpt. Here's a closer look at Skullbuster's face sculpt, and they did a very good job with the weathering and the paint. Mine actually turned out very cool. I like that skull paint and the red eyes. But he is able to look up just a little bit. The jacket kind of catches him right there underneath his skull, but he is able to look down all the way, and of course rotate 360. Now the difference with this figure is because of the molding on the shoulders, you're not able to rotate the arms 360, so you kind of get hindered by the molding at the shoulders, but that's okay. It does not hinder going up like this. Of course, we've got double hinge at the elbows, both sides. Both hands hinge. This one hinges side to side or up and down, and since this is the blaster hand, it actually hinges up and down. Mine's really tight. Up and down so that he can hold the blaster or his pistol. This piece actually is loose. I've got it tucked underneath what appears to be some magazine holders right there, but you can actually take this off, and it's a separate piece, so you could use it on any other figure you want to. But with that being said, looking at his torso, he does have a ab crunch. He crunches this far. He is able to crunch back a little bit, and he does have a swivel at the waist. His belt is actually glued in place, so it doesn't really raise up on you or anything. It's actually glued in the back here. But he does have a holster for his blaster. His legs do go out this far. He kicks out this far, which is pretty good. And then he does have a thigh swivel, rotates 360, and then he does have double knee, which is nice articulation. And then at the boot, which is nice, they do rotate 360. He does hinge down, hinge up, and a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, he does come with a blaster pistol, and there's nothing special about it. It's just cast in a green plastic, but he is able to put it inside of his holster like so, and it just fits. He also comes with an alternate head sculpt. I have no clue who this fella is, but it's kind of cool. He looks like, I don't know, it's a cool design. I don't know who it is, but he does have a scar on his face, and I believe it's painted on. It's not like cut into the plastic. Once you open up all the figures, each figure comes with a piece of Caliban. Here he is completely constructed, and he's a really cool figure. I don't know much about Caliban, but I really wanted him just because he's cool looking, and I like big figures. As you guys know, I like the chunky big figures. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at that articulation and that head sculpt. Here's a closer look at that face sculpt, and I really like the weathering done to it. He looks very vampiric, but he is able to look up, and he can look down because his head's on a ball hinge, and of course it does rotate 360. Looking down at his torso, I do have a little bit of some paint defects right there. Maybe I can cover that up or wash it off the best I can, but I do like the swirly twirly paint. I like the matte finish with the extremely shiny paint. I think that adds some kind of a nice dynamic to it. But with his arms, you are able to rotate 360. They hinge up to right here. Of course, we've got our bicep swivel. And with the chunkier figures, we know we're not going to get that much articulation at the elbow. It comes to about 90. And then, of course, the hands hinge up, hinge down, and they rotate 360. You can take the hands off and take off the bracelets, but I like how they cover up the gap right there between the forearm and the hand. But looking at his torso, he is able to crunch that far. He does crunch back, and he does have a waist swivel for 360, so you can get some pretty good, articulation right there to put him in some dynamic poses. But looking at his legs, he gets a pretty good split right there, and he does kick out just a little bit if you push it just a little bit higher. But once again, I like that metallic paint. I like the contrast between the matte and the swirly twirly. But of course he does have a thigh swivel. Mine's really tight, but it rotates 360 both sides. Looking at his knees, they are double hinged, so he kicks up very well. And then of course we have a 360 swivel right there at the shin, both sides, and he is able to hinge up, hinge down, and a forward facing pin for rocker. This concludes my review of the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Caliban Wave. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Beyond the Force. There's a link in the description below. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and may the Force be with you.